Hi, my name is Jessica Hunter, and my project is on the invasive pest and pathogen risk of introducing non-native tree species to the UK, working under Laura Kelly at Royal Botanic Gardens Kew, Tilly Collins at the Centre of Environmental Policy at Imperial, and Richard Nichols from Queen Mary University. With the growing focus on carbon offsetting and climate adaptation, the UK is going to be planting more trees in Britain, and are considering planting more exotic trees as well. While this may help with climate resilience and biodiversity in the UK, introducing non-native trees could also inadvertently bring invasive tree pests and pathogens that might threaten our native woodlands and cost the economy millions. My project studies how introducing non-native trees could be linked to forest pests or pathogens invading the UK and spilling onto native flora. Do non-native trees that are more phylogenetically related to UK flora introduce higher risk pests or pathogens? What about geographical location and climatic similarity of the introduced trees? So my plan is to first understand historical introductions of tree pests and pathogens in the UK that were linked to non-native trees and what made them successful or unsuccessful invaders. I will then build a predictive model based on this data and test on field sites provided by my case partner Till Hill. Once validated, I can use this model to identify what exotic tree species have a low or high risk of introducing forest pests or pathogens that could greatly damage UK woodlands, with the intention of identifying low-risk species. So I've compiled a list of historical tree pests or pathogen invasions in the UK that were first recorded on a non-native tree species. To date, I have found records for 139 exotic tree pests or pathogens that were first recorded on an exotic tree in Britain. I've also been conducting a systematic review to see what the current research on this topic is. The current consensus is that more phylogenetically similar tree species have a higher risk of introducing exotic pests or pathogens that will invade native flora. However, I want to know how widespread this evidence actually is. I searched for papers on the intersection of non-native pests and pathogens with non-native trees. After excluding papers that only focused on one of these topics or weren't on trees, I was left with 53 papers. From what I've currently read, phylogenetic similarity, as well as biodiversity of the host's habitat, frequency of introductions, and trait similarity are all significant drivers of pest and pathogen spillover. Using the data I collected on historical pests and disease invasions in the UK, I have built a preliminary generalized linear regression model to determine what factors affect how widely distributed a pest or pathogen is in the UK. I've calculated a variable called combined prediction, which is the phylogenetic distance of the first recorded host to all other tree species in the UK, multiplied by a distribution of the first host in Britain. This had a significant effect on pest and pathogen spread in the UK. The time a pest or pathogen has been in the UK, as well as host distribution, were also significant and accounted for. However, some challenges include the fact that the UK only has one native conifer, and fewer conifers overall, which could confound results. There was also obvious reporting bias in the pest or pathogen occurrences in the UK, with reports being overrepresented in London and the South. Overall, though, it looks like phylogenetic similarity does have an impact on pest and pathogen spread in the UK. My next steps will be further refining my model and accounting for the underrepresentation of conifers and the reporting bias. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you found it interesting.